All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Marriage Matters with Ken and Shar. I'm Ken. The beautiful girl next to me is Shar. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing really well today.
Are you?
Yes.
You sound perky.
Well, I say that every time. But you know why I'm doing really well this time?
Why are you doing well this time?
Is because I'm looking at my son-in-law and daughter on the video here.
On the
'Cause
computer screen?
We're gonna be interviewing them today, and I'm really excited about it. And when she first got on, we both go, "Wow, we look alike."
It's like looking at my face. It's weird.
It's good. I love it.
I don't normally see it until I see a picture or something, and then it's like, "Wow, my daughter looks a lot like me. Sorry, hun."
No, it's
I
awesome.
will take it. The amount of compliments I get on you, I will take it.
There we go.
I love it. I love it. So I'm really excited. Um, Micah and Jesse. Micah is our daughter, and Jesse is our son-in-law, who's like our son. And we love this couple so much. I don't know what else to say is how much I love them. And I love watching their marriage and the things that they have gone through in the last almost 23 years now. And
Is that how long you guys have been married now? 23 years?
3 years next
23
month.
next month, yeah.
so I
Yeah.
just wanted to kind of I don't feel
You're
old
old,
enough.
Dad.
We're all old now.
That's what it did to me. I just went, no, that cannot be. When did that happen?
So anyway,
Your brown hair.
I'm doing great today.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Yay.
We've been wanting to do an interview with you guys for a while. It's been tough to put this all together, but we feel like the topic that we're going to be kind of talking about, we actually dropped an episode 2 weeks ago titled The Power of Sacrifice. And we've watched you guys give and take. That's one of the remarkable things about your guys' marriage is it has a very obvious give and take to it that creates peace. I mean, I don't know behind closed doors. I'm sure you guys have your excitable moments and heated fellowship in Jesus, but from the outside looking in, you guys look smooth. You make it look really, really easy. And I know it's taken a lot of give and take and push and shove. So, which means a lot of personal sacrifice. Let me just give a real quick 1-minute recap on everything. The series that we're in is entitled Becoming a Power Couple. And we use that term with tongue in cheek, not like the world does, which power couples in the world are celebrity, beauty, money, wealth, fame. That's the way the world uses that term. We're trying to steal it. And we use the term in terms of a couple who are powerful in the sense that they genuinely reflect the design of God for a married couple. And in that regard, it's a powerful witness and a powerful testimony of the goodness and graciousness of God and of his love towards his people as it's seen in the love between a husband and his wife and a wife and her husband. So in that regard, it's one of the most powerful evidences of God's glory in the world when a husband and wife put him in open view for the world to see. So, and we think you guys do that. That's why we're really excited to interview you guys today. So here we go. We're going to ask you guys it's the same question we ask every couple we interview. Here it goes. Marriage, harder or easier than you originally thought? Jesse, let's start with you, man. Harder or easier?
Start with you.
I can start this. First of all, I just got to say, I think we've been looking forward to joining this podcast since the inception. So this is a real privilege, I think, for us to be a part of this. And love the ministry and the work you guys are doing through this podcast. So it's a real treat.
He kisses up before he answers.
No, I don't.
Smart man.
Come on.
While we're kissing up, let me say that this podcast would not exist without Jesse because he was the technical advisor all the way on hardware, even the style of the podcast and how to make it work. And I probably drove him nuts with technical questions and all that to get this thing up and running. But it would not happen without his help and encouragement all the way through the process. So, yeah,
I would say I think you're now over 100 episodes, correct?
You guys, I think this interview will be at 105. I think
105. So here's the truth. That's more episodes than I've ever recorded. So now You are the teacher.
I'm the master.
You are the master.
You are my Padawan.
Exactly. No, this is awesome. I've been able to listen to, so I know these questions are coming, and I've thought the answer a couple times when I've listened to it, and I think I would still say easier than I expected,
Awesome.
which I maybe is a bit of a surprise because both Mike and I have grew up with great, loving parents who taught us the importance of relationship and communication and being outward in your affection. And so maybe, when you come into that with that expectation, it's maybe easier to be surprised by the work that has to be done. But in the rearview mirror of almost 23 years, in the time that I think we're having the most fun we've ever had,
Yeah.
you're hitting me at the sweet spot where I get to say it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's had definitely its challenging moments throughout the process, but overall, I mean, I definitely wouldn't have done it any differently. So I'm going to go easier.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Micah, what about you, babe?
I agree. I think that there was probably a decade that I easily would have said harder.
Yeah. I think
But
that's true, right?
yeah, I think the young kids and the building careers and all that stuff is hard, and we added travel and living apart and all that stuff on top of it, so we made it hard on ourselves, but it kind of felt like to say it's easier is kind of crazy because we went in pretty naive thinking it was gonna be smooth
Walk in
sailing,
the park. Yeah, right.
and so the fact that it's even easier than that is pretty wild, but
Yeah.
it took some time to get there, for
Yeah.
sure, I think.
Well, it took some
I
sacrifice, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I think the people that answer that question easier, they often reflect back and they say, "Yeah, but if you'd have asked it in year about
Mhm,
3 to
Mhm.
15, I
mhm.
may have answered that differently." Again, you got 2 or 3 kids in the mix and a mortgage payment you're trying to desperately to pay and everything you're busy as can be, and now where you guys are, share in fact, let's do that. Share the ages of your kids and kinda with the station you are in life right now. How are things going?
We have an 11-year-old daughter and then a 15 and almost 17-year-old son, or
Right.
2
Two
sons,
cents.
15 and
Yeah.
17. And, our station is I'm starting to work again after being a stay-at-home mom, so that's been a process. And Jesse's starting new jobs that, we used to travel a lot, and now he's at home or working near home, and we feel stationary and stable in a way I think we haven't in a long time.
Mhm.
But I think that's what, like, being a lot of our hardships also came from outside of our marriage
Mhm.
too. It always
Sure.
felt okay inside,
Mhm.
but a lot of life came at us, and that's what made
100%.
it difficult too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've mentioned, living outside the country and being a bit, transient, things like that. Share a little bit about that journey, because there's a little bit of sacrifice, I think the idea of in that you maybe not towards each other, you guys, I'm sure we're on the same page, but you're leaving family, you're leaving the United States, you're leaving, the comforts of home. I know right around that time of was it your first excursion overseas right about the time that your father passed away, Jesse?
It was that
The
was
sec
actually
The
the
second
second one. Yeah, and
yeah,
the first one when we went to Sydney was a shorter amount of time and a longer runway. We knew we were doing that when I kinda started working on that
Yeah.
project, and so we got, a little bit of again, a runway to kinda plan for that. But the second one is the one you're referring to, Kenny, where, um, we got a call, and it was kind of like
5 weeks from the day we got the phone.
can you move to New Zealand, in 5
yeah.
weeks? And in the 3.5 weeks into that 5 week, yeah, my dad passed away, and so, we pushed the travel back 1 week.
1 week, and then COVID started the day we left.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was March 15th.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's, we'll probably dive into that a little bit, but I think, for anyone who's worked in the line of business that I'm in, anyone who's got a marriage that has not only survived but thrived, you'll hear over and over
Oof.
again, you have to have a partner who will come alongside and roll with you in these kind of changes because it doesn't have the same, and maybe not, maybe there are other careers and businesses that have those kind of very lightning quick changes. I'm sure that happens, especially in the military. But for us, it's definitely asked a lot of Micah, as we have said. I know we had these great plans, and I think we
Yeah.
vacation planned for you for your
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah.
And it was like, we could do that, or we could throw everything in the blender and move to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And at the time we thought it would only be
8 months.
Yeah, and it ended up being almost
3
2.5
years,
years,
yeah.
which I'm sure Charlene can
Yes.
still
Yeah.
I remember it very well. Not seeing my family for almost 3 years. My grandchildren went away different people that they came back
Right.
completely different, and it was a hard one, but the Lord really used it. He did, and it was wonderful.
Well, let's drill down into that a little bit. I mean, your career has been just in a sentence or two, Jesse, just share, what it is you do.
Mhm. So I've been in the movie business, specifically and in visual effects for the last about 15 years or so. And part of the work of the job is to travel to support films or TV shows that are being filmed all across the globe now. And so part of my role is to travel with the filmmakers, the directors, the writers, the crews, and to support them in creating the visual effects for a movie.
Right. So you go where they're shooting to the location, and you were working on a long project there, in New Zealand
Yes.
that kept you there for over 2.5 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
during that, Micah, with that in mind, you've been a homemaker, right? And gosh, growing up, we knew you had, you're educated, you've got a college degree, you had desires and plans. So you decide to stay home with the kid and raise the children.
Yeah.
And then your husband drags you off to foreign countries. And has there, my question is there a surprising to you element of self-sacrifice, or has it not felt like sacrifice for you?
I don't think as much as people think it does feel like.
Okay.
I think the parenting part was the hardest part more than I've always had wanderlust. I've always been someone who wants to, I mean, you guys know that, very much
Sure.
happy to up and go. I don't require a lot.
Mm.
I don't ask a lot materially, so we can live very simply and just move, and it suits me.
Right.
So I think that my personality suited this situation. But with 3 kids, Australia, we had a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, and 7-year-old,
Mm.
and we lived with no car and on the 20th floor, and
Wow.
had 2 boys that were basically toddlers or a little over, and a literal toddler who I was potty training, and we would just park our scooters in there, and we'd have to take our scooters with our little helmets on all the way down 20 floors, go, ride in a circle in the middle of the city of Sydney, and so things like that felt like sacrifice. That was very difficult, but it was the
Right.
parent part. It wasn't the traveling part.
Right.
Um, it was letting go of a lot of the dreams that I've had, and the reality was that the traveling meant that I couldn't have worked.
Mm.
Right.
Couldn't have had any kind of stable anything. Like,
Yeah.
I would have had to
Right.
leave jobs or people or whatever in order to do that. So it definitely was a self-sacrifice of career,
Mhm.
certain
Yes.
dreams, but also he provided me a lot of dreams too, and I got to travel the way I've always wanted to travel, and I got to
Yeah.
educate my kids in different areas, and that suited me pretty well,
Mhm.
I think. So, I think it was definitely a mix of both.
But I'd even, if I can, fast forward or rewind, it would be the right term, before those 2 projects, when I had really started to make the shift to the visual effects side of things. The industry is very divided, and so when you make a change from one department to another, oftentimes you have to start over. And when you start over, you have to earn your keep again. You have to develop your name and show that you're,
That
uh,
was much harder than traveling.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so there was a dedication of time that was, I think, far beyond what people would call reasonable. And it was at that time that we decided to move you and the kids. Ezra was
Mhm.
just born,
Mhm.
to Bakersfield, to be close to you,
Mm.
too, and to your family. And I lived down here, remember, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, on you, if you want to talk about sacrifice, I
Mhm.
think I was partially aware of it, but I probably was also quite focused on my career growth and trying to accomplish the goals of moving up that ladder in the visual effects
Yeah.
world. And as we've kind of come out of that time and look back on it, I mean, I will lead you into the next, maybe a question, which is, or maybe a thought, which is that I think was the greatest amount of demand because you were a single mom
I was a
for
Yeah.
single
5
mom
days,
for 5 days a week for 5 years with 3, toddlers. It was
100%.
we moved up there with 3 under 5. Yes, that certainly was difficult.
Yeah.
But I think that you also lived alone in an apartment by yourself and missed out on a lot of
Which is
stuff.
exactly what you would have wanted to do if you had the choice.
That is true. I would have taken that any day. I 100%
There were
would take
days, yeah.
your job, that's for sure.
Well, when
Yeah,
you're right, when you stop and think about it, it's a very much a mutual sacrifice in what you guys went through. I mean, uh, Jesse, you're living away from your family so that you can provide well and do what you do to expand what you do, for the sake of the family, and Micah, you are, single mothering it while that's going on. Kudos to both of you. That's,
can I ask you a question, Dad? Did you see it in the moment? Were you able to say that to Mom in the moment of that? Or maybe Mom, did he say that to you?
no,
That's
that's
what
a
I was gonna say, I think this is for me, the question. No, I
Yeah.
don't feel like he saw it, though when he watched you and what you, sacrificed raising the children, and he would come home often and say, "How did you do what you did?"
yeah,
And because he would watch you and, our daughter-in-laws,
Yeah.
with the children and the relentlessness of raising little kids. It's hard, let's face it.
Mhm.
But he would go, "I don't know how anyone could do that."
it
Mhm.
yes,
And I said, "It" I go he goes, "How did we do that?" And I wanted to say,
We
"What do you
didn't.
mean? How did we do it?" I did it, but I
Yeah.
have to say my husband, as well as yours, and my 2 sons work very hard to provide for us a life that we were able to do that, and not without sacrifice, financially mostly,
Yeah.
but we were able to stay home because that was our desire, and that is what we chose as a couple to
Mhm.
do, as well as you chose that as a couple and the sacrifices you made at that point in your life because that's what you wanted for your family, which I think that's what every couple has to do. And but no, I don't think that he saw it at the time, not until
not
he
until later on,
he
and you're right,
watched you.
watching you and our 2 daughters-in-law, Allison and Vanna, uh, raise multiple children as homemakers. Once I'm watching that going, "That's what my wife did." So reflecting, I guess, back, I came to a whole new appreciation for it. But during it, I think I'm just trying to keep my nose above water in my grind and barely surviving the demands of my life. So I probably didn't think of Charlene as much with as much gratitude as probably not as I do now. I can tell you that. Yeah.
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 And I probably wasn't as thankful always as I should have been for him working so hard also, because sometimes you get in this little tunnel vision of you can only see your perspective in this and how much you yourself it's costing you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it would cost him a lot too. And
Little bit
so
about
as
that on the way here, about, like, hearing the acknowledgement of sacrifice is so important, and the lack of that is very difficult, and I think it's not a co the what marriages do, especially in the beginning, is we start to just compete with each other and get that
Yeah.
martyrdom issue,
Yep.
and really kind of have to each individually come to our own space of, like, it's not a competition.
Mhm.
Yep.
I had a vision when we were in, New Zealand of, like, we were both just in for me, it was a never ending story.
Mm.
We're in the, like, quicksand.
Yeah. Yep.
Couldn't even hold each other's hand. It was just we were just trudging forward. I know he's there through my
Yeah.
periphery, and we're just going forward and just trusting that the other one's gonna do it, and the other one's gonna get through what they gotta get through, and we're gonna get to the end, and we're gonna be
Yeah.
able to recover together. But, like, there are points at which you're both sacrificing so heavily for what you
Yeah.
believe in
Mhm.
that I would encourage anyone, please acknowledge that sacrifice because
Mhm.
it becomes a hurt for a
Mhm.
long time if you don't see it in the other person.
The episode right before the episode on, sacrifice was the power of gratitude, and
Mm,
these 2 things are like little twin sisters that need to go
yeah,
together to express love in a healthy way, is showing extreme gratitude to each other and gratefulness to each other, as well as being willing to operate with sacrificial love ourselves, right? But acknowledging those things and thanking your partner for those things. When you hear those things, it makes the sacrifice worth it. Just even that, a little bit of acknowledgement goes so far, doesn't it?
It really
Great
does.
point. Yeah. So I wrote this down, by the way. So I want to, well, let me ask another question before that. So when we first started talking about this topic, what were your first thoughts that came when you think of sacrificial love?
We're talking about a little bit of this driving home today. My first thought, truly, Kenny, was I don't know if I can speak with enough confidence and history. You know what I mean?
Wisdom or
Maybe
experience.
wisdom, experience. Those are better words. There is a sense to which I don't feel like I know enough, or I've done enough in that area,
Mm,
or at a place where I've bridged or come over that hill enough to say
Mm.
this is the life lessons to share. I still feel like it's a everyday challenge as well for me. So my first thought was
My
I'm not prepared for this.
I get it.
I'm so good at that.
Micah. Oh, this is a lot. This is awesome. I'm awesome at this.
Got it. Done.
I
Great
write
at
many
that.
books on this subject.
I thought it was very funny when you had I talked.
Exact opposite. But I think it actually does speak a little bit to even just the journey we went through, or the conversation we just had, which is I don't think I was at all verbal about the sacrifice you were making until probably, if I'm all honest, the last maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'd say 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's a long, we can do
Yeah.
the math, a long period of time for you to feel like you're fighting a battle and not getting the recognition you deserve. So that's why I think I feel ill prepared sometimes to respond to some of the questions, is I feel like I'm still kind of a baby and
Yeah.
what that really means, really respecting the self-sacrifice.
Well, I think what you're talking about is what made Charlene, wouldn't you say it's what made us, we were hesitant to even tackle this and do an episode because you feel like I'm selfish to the core. I look in the mirror and I know the battle that goes on in me. Even Charlene and I were talking about this earlier. Even when there's a sense or an unction of the Holy Spirit that I need to lay down here.
Mm-hmm.
I need to give myself up for her highest good, right? That even when I know it's the right thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
it's a battle.
Yeah.
If I'm honest with myself, I'm terrible at this. It's my first reaction to almost everything is selfishness and self-serving, not giving life away, and I think because I know myself enough and when I look in the mirror, I know what I'm dealing with here. I was really hesitant to go here with this topic because of what you're saying, Jesse. I don't think I've done it good. I don't think I do it enough. I think I need to do it a lot more. I think I need to be more selfless,
Mm-hmm.
which seems to me to be the human condition. I mean, this is what we battle in every marriage relationship.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think just going back to it, I don't know if there's like key points in time we can point to the trip to New Zealand, Australia, or the job stuff. There's a lot of examples of where you have sacrificed to support our family, and maybe they are goals together. But I don't know if I can point to many examples of the reverse. And that's maybe the reason why. I mean, also I'm talking to my father and mother-in-law. So we want to be honest and open, but in being honest and open a little bit, I think if we made a list of all the sacrifices you made and we made a list of all the sacrifices I've made, your list would be a lot longer than mine.
I think we're in different roles and that certain ones require something different. I think that our communication could have used a lot. My communication had a lot to be desired. I don't have the amount of words that many women have, thoughts or emotions very often, and I'm very good at stewing and just
Yeah.
assuming that you understand how I feel and you should fix it for me.
Right.
So I think
Right.
that as my communication has improved, that has improved as well. I would have to take responsibility for that. But also, I was really good at sacrificing because I was really good at if I'm going to sacrifice you into loving me.
No.
I had
Right.
that martyrdom thing of I
Yeah.
have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. I'm gonna do it publicly so that you see it. And he still didn't see it. But
Yeah.
then I just made it worse. It's like, you know what I mean?
Right.
We're in very different
Yeah.
spaces, and as you mature, you can get better at that. But yeah,
Hmm.
Well, I think as you get older also in your marriage, y you learn what true sacrifice is the more you know your partner
mm,
and really what you are sacrificing for their highest good. And I think that is I always thought I'm sacrificing for Kenny because I know what he needs me to do. It's like, no, that's what I thought he needed. What he really needed was a wife when he came home from work that greeted him affectionately and was thankful and tried to consciously and intentionally make his life better and
mhm,
to tell him how much he meant to me and to see what he did for me and how he was sacrificing for me.
mhm,
And I probably did that with sometimes selfish motives.
yeah,
Mhm.
Like, okay, now I'm doing this for you. Now you give me back what I just gave to you.
Right.
exactly right.
And I think when you get to a point in your marriage, which we've been married a lot longer than you, 48 years, we should know this, but still it's a difficult thing just to be self-sacrificing. That means I'm not asking for anything in return. I
Yeah,
genuinely want to make your life better.
Yeah.
I
mhm,
genuinely love you and want to show you how much I love you and to communicate to you that you are my everything.
Mhm.
yeah,
And my life is so good with you in it,
mm,
not because of what you necessarily give to me, is what I can give to you. And that's more, I think the older we get, at least in our marriage, we truly try to model Jesus more the closer we get to the Lord. And we see his ultimate sacrifice. We think, I could never achieve what he's done, but I can lay down myself for the
mm,
sake of another person, and the best person to lay down your life is for your spouse.
Yeah.
mm,
No, you do. You have to lay it down for your children. Let's
Yeah.
face it.
Yeah.
They require it.
Yep.
so
But,
true.
and I think that I was in the martyrdom thing too.
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
I was doing so much with the kids all the time. I just wanted recognition, and I
Mhm,
wanted him to know how much I was sacrificing, but yet I didn't look at his own sacrifices he was making for me too. And I
mhm,
think you learn that with marriage experience, I really
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we've talked a lot about the big ways, the obvious ways with, careers, hard work, homemaking, and the different things given up for one another, but this stuff there's opportunities to love sacrificially by
mm,
through self-denial and those things every day. So there's a lot of little ways, right? So, I wrote this down, just see if you guys agree with this, because 'cause I'm gonna follow it up with a question.
Mhm.
What a person gives up or lays down or gives away or denies themselves is probably the most powerful way to communicate love and value for another person. So here's the big question. Can anyone really claim to loving their spouse, without
Mm.
a willingness, the right moment at the right time to lay themselves down, give themselves up, right? Endure those things. Can a person really feel well loved
mm,
without an element of self-sacrifice offered to them? I mean, the word says that no greater love has a man than he lays down his life for his friend, right? So it connects love and the laying down of a life
mm.
Mhm.
together.
Mhm.
They're connected together. I don't think you can separate the 2. What do you guys think? Can I lay claim to have well-loved Charlene without,
Mm.
at times, denying myself, for her highest good?
I think it's an interesting thing because I think that just on an overall human perspective, in a marriage that's a traditional marriage, which is what we have that we biblically follow, right?
Right.
Most people probably aren't made to naturally be monogamous, say, for
Mm.
their whole entire we're married at 22, you guys are married at 19, 20,
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think even that simple
Mhm.
dedication to monogamy, to staying together,
Right.
to forsaking all others, that is the beginning of sacrifice in a marriage, right? It's the
Yeah.
beginning of dedicating yourself to someone despite me,
Right.
despite my feelings,
Right.
because feelings are not it.
Or
Love,
even natural urges and yeah,
absolutely.
in the fallenness of our flesh, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something that we just take for granted now. We don't consider it a sacrifice, but that is the
At the
beginning
beginning.
of it,
Sure. And
right?
the modern world probably looks at that too. And when you get married that early, go, why you get married that early?
Yeah.
Right.
All the things you're losing, you're missing out on.
Yeah.
There is
Or married at all. Or why would you get married at all? Which is where the
for sure.
culture is today, quite frankly, is
Yeah.
Yeah.
why would you marry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think, 100%. At the end of the day, I think to answer your question is, um, there is no better way to represent, I think, love and commitment unconditionally without sacrifice. But we were talking about this as we were kind of preparing for the podcast. I don't think of it anymore as I use the word thought matrix. I don't make the sacrifice because that's how I'll show love to Micah. It's because I love Micah, I do the sacrifice, and there's a slight
Exactly.
difference. And I actually think it's a great example of like our kids you're bringing up. It's like
Right.
if you love your kids, it's an automatic. You don't really think, well, do I want to make sure they've got food tonight? It's like they kind of no, you
Right.
never do that. They're your
Right.
kids. You're going to make sure they've got food. They're well taken care of. They're healthy. And I think there's a certain point in a marriage, and maybe it's not the beginning, but a certain point where you go, of course, I'm going to sacrifice because what I'm making the motion for Mike and I, our relationship, our marriage is foundationally more important than any of the things that I selfishly want. And so it's not do I love her? I do. So I'll make the sacrifice. It is just, I will make the sacrifice because I want to protect the sanctity of what we have.
Mhm.
And I think your example at the beginning you mentioned
Mhm.
of just, forswearing all of the things.
It's just built in.
It is built in into, or it should be, I think, in a healthy relationship, it's built in to just the way you operate.
Right. Couple thoughts. I know a lot of that is just the maturing and the sanctifying of the Holy Spirit's work in our life that brings us to that. I think when we start out, we've talked about this with many couples that the most natural inclination is, dude, I want to marry you because you make my life awesome,
Yeah,
Mhm.
right?
which is really me loving me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You're
totally.
just a tool. You're just a tool I'm using to love me,
100%.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Well, how do we get from there to
Mhm.
what Charlene you just said?
Yeah.
You are now the object of my love, and Jesse, you said it too. I don't even think about the sacrifice.
Mhm.
Of course,
Mhm.
this is what I offer you. This
Mhm.
is now what's natural to us. What was natural to us at 19 and 20, even though we knew the Lord, we were solid believers, but we were not mature like that. I still married your mom because she made my life awesome, and when
Mhm.
she didn't make it awesome, I was ticked.
Mhm.
And right? And
Sure.
I didn't like it,
Yeah.
right? So and when she was demanding things of me or asking things of me that were a sacrifice, that put me out or, challenged me, I didn't like that
Mhm.
because I was loving me some me. You're just there to love me.
Yeah.
This is what this is all about. That's what I think most normal people, when they marry, that's
Yep.
what's in their heart. Whether
Yeah.
they'll admit that or not, I don't know. Was it what was in mine? I
Mhm.
came to find out later on. But somehow the Holy Spirit has a way
Yeah.
Mhm.
of, after following Jesus for years, his work grows us up into where now the natural
Yeah.
persuasion of a sanctified life is to love like Christ has loved us so well, right?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
great sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
So I don't we sure didn't we didn't think the way we do now when we were early married. I didn't. Your mom was probably further down that road than me, but I was really, really selfish and had been my whole life. And I suppose marriage is what God used to carve that up in me a little bit and to work that out of me, I think, in a big way.
Well, Jesse, what I was getting when you were just talking about that sacrifice and how of course you do because you want this unity. What
Mhm.
I was
Yeah,
hearing from you is this is what has to be done
Mhm.
to have the marriage that and family that we want.
right.
And that
Mhm.
we feel like is God-fearing and God glorifying, and also life-giving to both of you.
Right.
And I think when you finally get to that point, uh, I've never thought of it that way, but when you said that, it doesn't feel like much of a sacrifice anymore. It's, "Of course I will,
Yeah.
because this is what I want, and this is what I desire,
Mm.
and this is what gives us life and joy and
Yeah.
abundant life." And I think that's when it comes down to your own Christian walk,
Yeah.
and then you become, in a way, more like Christ. When Christ said in the garden, "Let this cup be taken to me, but if there's no other way, I'm
Right.
laying down my life because
Yeah.
this is what I want.
Yeah.
This is the only way to achieve it."
Yeah.
And when you were talking, I thought, "Of course, I
Mhm.
will lay down my life because I want this, and
Mm.
there's no other way to do it. There's no other way to get it."
Nope.
Yeah.
And I think that does come with maturity, and you guys are well into your marriage, over 2 decades,
Yeah.
and it's funny how it's a progress and it's a process
Yes.
to get there. It's not overnight. I don't think anyone comes to it overnight, but then the more you realize, the more I lay down my
Yeah.
life for another and my family, the more I get back. And it's
Yeah.
just the natural progression to build what you want to build in your family. I think it's a really beautiful thing, and you guys have done it well.
Yeah.
As I look at you, you've done it well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that we can say for being brought up the way we both were, we were
Mm.
both brought up in very similar homes
Yes.
and knew right.
Yes.
The reason we didn't have kids for so long, much to your chagrin, Charlie, was that I knew how to do it right.
Yeah.
And I knew what kind of sacrifice that took.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I had to give myself as much time as I could before I felt tied
Yeah.
down in a way as
Mm. Mm.
mom. Um, and I really wanted to go into that knowing I was able to do that
Mm-hmm.
and not feel angry about it, which I think you still will, no matter what, probably, or maybe just me. But I think that one thing that we both learned and have never had a problem doing is the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
We know what's right.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we don't want to do it, we know what behavior
Mm-hmm.
will bring us the most joy, the most peace, the most Christ-centric
Mm-hmm.
outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so we always did. You always were able to provide. I chose to stay home. That was what we knew was right for our family. And practicing sacrifice because it was right, not because we wanted to or because we felt it. Practicing it and doing that behavior, and then over time seeing that outcome has been what makes it so easy now.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
think what Jesse's saying is like, of course, I've done it 1,000 times. It's always the best thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
always going to be blessed.
Yep.
It's
Right.
always going to be the good and right thing for our family.
Yeah.
And so it makes it very easy to
Yeah.
do in that moment after 20 years of practicing it, even
Yep.
when it's hard, I think.
Do you guys ever hit can you ever remember, tough question to answer, but have you ever remembered an impasse where you were both dug in and unwilling to anybody was unwilling to yield, to give up, to give away, to deny myself and to simply surrender up? We've only had a couple of those in 48 years of marriage, right? Really a few that we can think of, but
Yep.
have you guys had those tough ones where somebody's got to give up here? Somebody's
Yeah.
got to, for the sake of unity, for the sake of your highest good, I'm going to lay myself down here. And, have you had a few of those?
Impasse? I don't
Look,
know.
let's be honest.
Okay. You
Please do.
thumbs, everybody.
No, lie to everybody, Micah. Just lie to everybody.
Jesse is the nicest human I've ever met. If you were asked to describe Jesse, the first word that comes to your head is, he's so nice.
Yeah.
He's so nice. And in our marriage, he's
Good
so
looking,
nice. Well, no,
strong,
nice, just nice.
Really
It's
smart.
fine. So I think that we're very kind to each other
Yes.
just
Yes.
easily. That we're a very low key couple.
Mhm.
We don't
You are
fight,
kind people. Yeah.
and it lives in.
Mhm.
However,
But wait.
there's more. You're kind of a pit bull when you want to be, and you will stick in and you will dig in when
Yeah.
you want to.
That's
And
neat.
I have learned if it means more to him, then just let it go. It's not worth it. But I think
Right.
that personality more than it is a choosing sacrifice. So we don't really both dig in. We kind of lean
Right.
toward, if it matters more to you, that's what we'll do.
I remember a
Right.
couple episodes ago, you guys were mentioning early on in your marriage, I think you guys used the term "go to guns quick."
Yeah. Yeah.
Was the
Draw guns. Yeah.
draw guns. I don't know if we,
No.
just because of our personality, if we've ever really drawn guns.
No.
But you kind of mentioned sometimes we both will internalize, we'll both stew. So it's more like those pressure cookers on the other sides of the houses. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then we just don't talk about it for 3 days, and then we just deal with it in 6 more months when it comes up again.
There
And
you
then we
go.
3
There
days
you
then.
go. That's
Oh,
typical.
then
Right.
15 years later. It's great, guys.
This is not good advice. We're not
No?
going to send, no,
Okay.
don't do that, everybody.
So
Well,
yeah, no.
everyone knows. Well, everyone realizes that you come with 2 different people when you get married, and you have 2 different ways to resolve conflict.
Yes.
And now, when we say the drawing of the guns with Kenny, it was Kenny drawing the guns.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, because I didn't like to draw guns either,
That's the way I
And
resolve
yeah, but
conflict.
he just liked to do that, and
And then you're
then it
confronted with it, and you have to choose how you deal with it.
Yeah.
And then you're
exactly right. Yeah, and normally me, it was not speak for 3 days because I didn't know how to deal with it, and, it just, I just don't like to fight. I
Yeah.
just don't like it, but, there are repercussions to that, so you have to learn how to do the conflict with. I think you guys were much more evenly matched in your conflict resolution,
Yeah.
and you didn't draw guns fast, but you still had ways that you had to learn how to resolve the conflict that you had. It just never got like Kenny. It got a little loud, and,
Well, I don't
he
think
was
we had the issue of such different upbringings and
right.
such
You
Right.
didn't. You didn't.
different,
Good
even just
point.
testimonies or, you know what
Good
I mean?
point.
Really came from the same home, the same perspective in a lot of ways. And so
Yeah.
for us to
Good
dig
point.
in, it would have to be a big issue. But we got married, like you guys know, so quickly.
Yeah.
We had our heart issues figured out. We didn't know each other's personalities and little things necessarily, but we knew our very core stuff. That was what
Yeah.
we went on. So that stuff has never really been big issues for us. That was always
Right.
where we met.
Right.
Well, I think also you made a really great point, Micah, how you said your families were similar
Yeah.
in growing up. And we do find that with a lot of couples when they come from opposite families.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference because I hear these men will say, well, my dad, he went out every weekend drinking with the guys, and I think that's the way it should be. And I don't think my wife should say anything about it. And then she was raised completely different where her dad didn't do that. And so a lot of what we bring into our marriage, whether we like it or not, is what we were raised with
Yeah.
because that's normal. And Kenny and I were raised completely different in 2 completely different households. You guys were raised more similar,
Mhm.
and I think that does help with the conflict.
100%.
I think it does too.
I think it does. I never really realized it until I'm sitting here listening to your story.
Yeah.
The way you resolved conflict was more similar,
Yes.
and that does help. Than like in our case, it was difficult.
And it helped with, again, communication styles. I think is kind of what I go back to. It's not only having similar upbringings, but also similar communication styles with how we deal with conflict. But if we bring it back to sacrifice, that's where even with similar upbringings, there is still the element of just the human flesh nature. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
with every single day, every single minute, every single hour. And, I did want to bring this up that even with those upbringings, and I think you're right, we knew what the right thing was to do. We could
Right.
that, we could express that, but it didn't necessarily mean it was a change to my heart.
Yeah.
And if we go back 5 years, we can go back to when we had our one counseling session with, which is a funny story, which we won't bore you guys with, which was not a really great counseling session. But if he's listening, he asked the most poignant question, which is how can you communicate, how can you know your wife if you don't really know God, and it came down to my time in the Word, that's what it was.
Yep.
And I'm butchering the conversation because it's now been 5 or 6, maybe even
It
longer.
wasn't a great conversation, but that one thing was.
But that was a conviction that the Holy Spirit
Right.
used to say that, like, there was something, even though the actions were probably looking right on the outside and everything was kind of good, it wasn't necessarily addressing the real heart of things. And so that
Yeah.
was a real change and shift in my own personal walk and my time in the Word. And I, although I can't connect a verse or a book to a difference in our relationship, I think
Right.
foundationally, you're just beginning to build the muscle
Sure.
memory of understanding the Word, and that begins to affect in a very subconscious way how you begin to think about the rest of the choices you make in life.
I saw you shift
Awesome.
after
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. I had spent a long time just praying, like, for God to just really just grab a hold of you,
Mhm.
and really for me to see
Mhm.
you love the Lord, just the Holy Spirit to be very present, because it
Yeah.
was right.
Yeah.
It was very right.
Mhm.
Um, but the soul of the Holy Spirit, I didn't see,
Mhm.
fruit there.
Mhm.
Just I can't even put my finger on it,
Yeah.
but I didn't see it.
Mhm.
And from that moment on, that really terrible, what felt like useless counseling session,
Mhm.
I saw from that day on the beginning of, oh, this is the man I wanted,
Mhm.
or that I thought
Wow.
when you have this
Yeah.
idea of who you marry
Yeah.
and what it's gonna look like,
Yeah.
that was the beginning of you growing into the man
Mhm.
that is going to be the man of our home.
Yep.
In no controlling way, but just like someone I really wanna follow and someone I really wanna trust,
Mhm.
sacrifice for,
Mhm.
trust with my life, and it's
Mhm.
been a really, I think that's
Right
why
on.
the last 5, 6 years, I think that's a huge part
Yeah.
of that,
Yeah.
was that growth.
Awesome. Well, we are running out of time, gang. We gotta wrap this up. This has been fun. We could sit here and just chat
I'll
forever
go play
with you
Illustration
guys.
with you guys if you want,
There you go.
online.
Awesome.
This was
Well, we
awesome.
know this, the more we've talked about, sacrificial love, and again, in the podcast, in the Marriage Matters podcast, obviously, we talk about love a lot
Hmm.
and trying to get your head around a biblical definition, right, rather than the world's definition of it being a sentiment or an emotion, right? But it's really all about what love actively does.
Yeah.
I'm more convinced now than ever before that it can't be separated from a life of a willingness to, for that grain of wheat, as Jesus said, to fall to the earth and die so it can bring forth fruit.
Mhm.
There has to come some kind of, even our walk with him. He said, first must deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. Self-denial is just a demand of true love. It just does. We don't demand it of one another, but it's, if I'm going to love genuinely, biblically,
Mhm.
then it's going to cost me
Mhm.
some at some point in time, the laying down of myself for that object's highest good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, I've never been more convinced than now when as we talk about the demand of sacrificial loving one another. And you guys have done a great job at it. We've watched you guys over all these years and are just so proud of what the Lord's done in your guys' family life. And just from us to you, thanks so much for being able, to take the time and sharing your heart and your life with us just through this interview. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse, for loving my daughter well.
You
I
bet.
I really, really appreciate that. You were prayed for forever,
Right.
since she was born, and Micah, the kind of wife that you've become. It's been wonderful to watch, and I emulate a lot of you in my own marriage. Um,
Mhm.
you probably don't think that, but I do. I have watched you love Jesse well,
Yeah.
and it has been a sweet thing to watch for Kenny and I. So thank you guys so much. Just, it's a blessing to have you guys in our lives.
We
So
couldn't be any more proud of you guys.
yeah.
Thank you.
We love
Okay,
you.
so we're going to sign off now. Thanks again, guys, for being with us. And for all you listening, God bless you guys. So glad you could join us for this episode. And always remember that your marriage really does matter. We love you guys. God bless you all.
Bye bye.